As I've thought about the theme for today, nurturing gratitude, for this month, I've come to realize how the practice may be connected to so many aspects of our spiritual, emotional, and relational lives. Are we okay? To that which gives us meaning and purpose. In one of her weekly blogs, Maria Popova, author of The Marginalian, shared wise words on what makes life worth living. Words she had selected that had been written, as she wrote, by great humans of the past. I have chosen excerpts from a few of her excerpts as invitation to help us think about the breadth and depth of being that may be the product of nurturing, of practicing gratitude. From Toni Morrison's Beloved, love your hands, love them, raise them up and kiss them, touch others with them, pat them together, strike them, stroke them on your face, love your mouth. This is flesh, flesh that needs to be loved, feet that need to rest and to dance, backs that need support, shoulders that need arms. Love your neck. Put a hand on it. Grace it. Stroke it and hold it up. And all your inside parts. You got to love them. The dark, dark liver. Love it. Love it. And the beat and beating of your heart. Love that too. More than eyes or feet, more than lungs that have yet to draw free air, more than your life-holding womb and your life-giving parts, love your heart. Be grateful for your heart, for this is the prize. From Viktor Frankl's Yes to Life. Imagine that you are sitting in a concert hall and listening to your favorite symphony, and your favorite bars of the symphony resound in your ears, and you are so moved by the music that it sends shivers down your spine. And now imagine that it would be possible for someone to ask you in this moment whether your life has meaning. I believe you would agree with me if I declared that in this case, you would only be able to give one answer, and it would go something like, it would have been worth it to have lived for this moment alone. From Leo Tolstoy's Calendar of Wisdom, the kinder and more thoughtful a person is, the more kindness he can find in other people. Kindness enriches our life. With kindness, mysterious things become clear, difficult things become easy, and dull things become cheerful. Kindness, I would add, students of gratitude write, is a result of the practice of gratitude. From James Baldwin's essay, Lifeline for the Hours of Despair. I have always felt that a human being could only be saved by another human being. Let us be grateful for one another. From Walt Whitman's preface to Leaves of Grass. This is what you shall do. Love, express gratitude for the earth and sun and the animals. Despise riches, give alms to everyone that asks, stand up for the stupid and crazy, devote your income and labor to others, hate tyrants, argue not concerning God, have patience and indulgence toward the people. Read these leaves in the open air every season of every year of your life. Re-examine all you have been told at school or church or in any book. Dismiss whatever insults your soul and your very flesh shall be a great poem. And finally, from Hannah Arendt's Love and St. Augustine, the only valid tense is the present. These words may be all that need be said to get at what it means to nurture or practice gratitude. Less than 2 weeks ago, I returned from a trip to Istanbul, Athens, and the islands in between. It was a trip I had dreamed about since my undergraduate college days, when I was immersed in the study of art and architectural history. I went on this trip with a woman I have known for a long time, and yet, as we shared these travels, we got to know each other far, far better. My gratitudes are numerous for the time, the places visited, the company, the stories, the music, the food, the physical capacity to climb steep, cobbled hills, the sea and the sky, and having the resources to have made it possible. Well, there's a part of me that no matter where I am in my travels, I'm a bit reluctant to come home. However, I was indeed glad to be back and to see Brooks, my partner, who arrived a few hours after I did, at the completion of a 10,000-mile cross-country road trip which we had begun together. Before his arrival, as I had begun puttering, unpacking, and resettling, I finally noticed a message left by the young man who stays in the house while I'm away. With more than 100 tiny magnets, he had crafted a big thank you on the refrigerator door. Seeing that sign brought, and still brings every day, a smile, a glow of gladness, and continuing gratitude for him. You see, he's one of my son's closest friends, and I've known him since they were in 4th grade. So my gratitude for him and for that message is accompanied by memories of 2 young men now approaching middle age. Might we say that there is a mutuality in the practice of gratitude, and that in itself is nurturing, and that certain gratitudes evoke memories of other gratitudes? One afternoon, after I had been home sufficiently long enough to have adapted to the 7-hour time change, I sat to deal with mail, messages, and other matters that needed attending. After a few hours, my neck and shoulders ached. One voice inside repeatedly told me to get outside, walk, and get some fresh air. Another voice, in frantic mode, which I can do, argued to stay and finish the job I'd started. The get outside eventually prevailed. Soon, I was crunching through leaves that covered the driveway as I made my way to the forest road where I live. In just a few minutes, my mind was rid of the clutter. I began noticing the bronze, reds, golds, and browns of the oaks and maples as they fluttered in the trees. Began hearing the chattering of squirrels, the twittering of chickadees, and the scolding of a blue jay. The sun warmed my face as a slightly chill breeze touched my skin. The tightness in my body dissipated as I shrugged my shoulders in relief, letting go of stress and turning simply to the present. Grateful for the warmth that touched and the sounds and sights that surrounded me. Later, after I returned to the house, I recalled two stories that give meaning to my understanding of gratitude. The first was told to me by a minister mentor shortly after I had started my first exploratory courses in religion. The classes were offered by the diocese in Albany at St. Bernard's, an extension of a Catholic seminary in Rochester. Having grown up in a small, secular, strictly secular, humanist Unitarian fellowship, each of the few classes I took at St. Bernard's was a mind-boggling stretch. The first assignment for one class responded well to advice given by another mentor, that I start there and learn to translate religious language. In need of translation one day, I had called David in near panic. Grace! I have to write something about grace. I have no idea what that means. What is it? And what is it for a Unitarian Universalist? How can I ever understand that? And David told me this story. It was of a day when he was on the edge of depression. He wanted to stay inside, buried under the covers, but he had to walk the dog. Regretfully, grudgingly, he'd gone out. Even the day was gray. Yet he and the dog were maybe a house away when he saw two squirrels, one chasing the other as they ran round and round and round up a tree. In an instant, he said, he was laughing, reconnected to the world outside himself. The depression lifted. That's grace, he said. Read this. I love the little table. Robert Emmons, a professor at the University of California, Berkeley, and director of the Greater Good Science Center, cited a colleague, and I quote, "The word gratitude is derived from the Latin root gratia, meaning grace, graciousness, or gratefulness. All derivatives from this Latin root have to do with kindness, generosity, gifts, the beauty of giving and receiving or getting something for nothing." End quote. The second story I recalled when I returned from my walk is from another colleague. He was with his family visiting the Grand Canyon and had gone out shortly before sunrise with his youngest son, who had asked not long before a question which I suppose many of us who are parents have been asked. Who's God? Where is she or he? As the sun rose, spreading its splendor, my colleague and his son stood in awe, hand in hand near the canyon's rim. Then then softly, out of the silence, his son spoke two words, "Thank you." It was not me he was speaking to, my colleague said, but to something greater. Two simple words serve as one of the most profound prayers I know. Thank you. The author of the book, Aging as a Spiritual Practice, observed that simply repeating thank you has the power to move us from despair to a sense of connection. We affirm that there are good things in the world, gifts and benefits we've received. Always we wonder if we get what we deserve, if our labors will bring just recompense, if our endeavors will be rewarded, if our life projects will be completed, wrote our beloved Reverend Dick Gilbert. Always we wonder if we get what we deserve. May we be ever thankful for Dick's presence in the Unitarian Universalist community and beyond. In the second part of gratitude, Dr. Emmons explains, quote, "We recognize that the sources of goodness are outside ourselves. We acknowledge that other people," and I add nature, animals, the universe, Emmons went on, "or even higher powers, if you're of a spiritual mindset, gave us many gifts, big and small, to help us achieve the goodness in our lives." End quote. Gratitude, he observes, is a relationship-strengthening emotion because it requires us to see how we've been supported and affirmed by other people. The benefits of practicing gratitude, a function of mindfulness, I would suggest, have been cited by many researchers. People who acknowledge their gratitudes they have found are happier, more optimistic, less anxious, resilient, less likely to be depressed, and more. And the practice is not complicated. Above all else, it seems to me, would be simply to pay attention, to be present, to speak the words, "thank you," aloud or in silence. There are practices, though, that the experts recommend, among which are, first, as you're preparing to sleep, name 3 things for which you are grateful. They don't have to be profound, although in being explicitly grateful, there may be a certain profundity in acknowledging gratitude for that first morning cup of coffee. Second, keep a weekly gratitude journal. There are those who say we should write something every day, and there are others who suggest that writing in detail about only 2 or 3 things that happen during the week, that's far more fruitful, deepening than making daily lists. Third, write to those for whose presence in your life you are grateful, or to ones you have never expressed thanks to. Let them know the ways in which you appreciate them. Fourth, appreciate what you have by imagining your life without it. And fifth, savor the good in your life. As I prepared for today, I came across something I wrote several years ago after I'd moved my mother into assisted living and was clearing her house. I had written this: I felt overwhelmed by the number of closets I needed to clean, constrained greatly by limited time. Early each morning, I would jump out of bed, get dressed, and frantically begin working. After 8 or 9 hours each day, I would go to visit my mother. She would weep because she just wanted to go home, or she would get mad because I was taking her home away from her. And then I would get mad. One evening, way earlier than was my usual departing time, I stood at the door, my hand on the knob, voice raised. Do you really want to be miserable for the rest of your life? Can't you just find something, anything to be grateful for? And then I realized not only was I talking to my mother, I was speaking to myself. If you could just find something to be grateful for. I began taking some time each day to express my gratitude and to be quiet, to feel the depth of my own sadness, to be present, and to listen deeply to my mother in her grief. Especially as we age, and we all do, we hope, when the vision of our future narrows, as we lose the people, the pets, the places through whom, with whom, and in which we have found meaning and purpose and pleasure and joy, then may we turn to the small wonders that surround us for which we may be grateful. As we practice, as we nurture gratitude, may we be connected once more and deeply to that small voice within and to that which is powerful and good and outside ourselves. Amen.